Hey, welcome to the Burnt Bridge podcast. As you can see here, this is going to be the last episode that I film from my apartment. So I've tried to get creative with the background. But next week we'll be in the studio. Very excited about that. Big things are happening and big things are changing and happening as well. And we're going to have our first guest next week, which will hopefully be the standard moving forward. I've got a bunch of guests lined up, but I didn't want to leave you empty-handed this week. So we're doing a Q&A with questions that I've gotten from my TikTok followers who've hopefully made it over here to the YouTube, because I would really, really appreciate it if everyone subscribed. I actually hated when I watch YouTube videos and everyone's like, subscribe, and it's like, no. But now that I'm doing it, I'm like, oh, wait, if you could subscribe, that would actually be great. But we'll get started. I'm going to start with my Rock Bottom and Pink Cloud of the week. Rock Bottom, of course. What's it going to be, guys? Let's hear it. It's going to be my financial situation. It's going to be the fact that I'm poor. And it's going to be also the fact that the world's falling apart and no one seems to fucking care. It's actually horrific out there and wildly depressing to watch any part of the news. I mean, everything is just an absolute atrocity. So I think actually that's going to be my rock bottom for sure. Pink Cloud of the week, though, is that we're going to be in the studio next week. So I'm recording this week, the first episode in the studio. I painted this sign for the studio I'm really excited about, so let me know. Hand painted, a Burnt Bridge production, the first one of it, really. Anyway, so that's my Pink Cloud, is that I'm really excited about that. Getting that all started. Gonna be huge. It's gonna be great. Also, Hayo sent me these drinks. She's a PR girl now. We're rich and famous, baby. We're rich and famous, baby. And I know that's right. They're actually delicious. And they're supposed to, like, make you feel better. I don't know. I don't know if that's true, but they taste good. Cheers, everyone. Let's get rolling with these questions. All right. Let me pull them up. Oh, my God. Jump scare. I just pulled up this picture of me on my TikTok. That was from college. Someone said, you were more fun when you were drunk. And I said, hard disagree. It's going to be a no for me, dog. Anyways, great. Perfect. Love it. Let's see. Let's see what the people have said. Okay, Madden. Oh, or Maiden? M-A-D-Y-N? Probably Maiden, right? Anyways, Maiden. Like maiden name. Maiden Perkins says, do you find it hard to be around others who are drinking, or does that feeling of craving a drink in social settings go away after a while? That's a great question, first of all. Initially, I did find it very hard to be around, like, especially the first 2 years that I was trying to get sober and I couldn't stay sober. I mean, I would just, like, literally be staring at people's drinks like this, like, salivating. But honestly, I have not felt that feeling. You know, I've been sober for over 3 years now. I haven't felt that feeling in a long time. So I actually love to be in places where drinking's happening, not because drinking's happening, but I love dive bars. I love playing pool. I love playing darts. Like, I actually just like the feeling of those places. And now, like, I actually love to watch other people drink because I, like, watch them slowly get sloppy over the time. And I'm like, wow, I have complete autonomy over my actions right now. And you don't. And it's not... Obviously, that I purposely made that sound terrible, but it's not really how I feel. I just feel like, wow. And I would have been so much worse, and I'm no longer that way. And also, I can leave at any given moment and drive myself home, and I love that for me. So, long story short, I don't find it hard to be around people who are drinking anymore, but I did, and that's very obviously normal to feel that way for the first however long. I probably felt that way for the first 2 years that I tried to get sober, honestly. And it's just been in the last few years that that's gone away. So the good news is it goes away. Bad news is probably not going to be that way at first. Okay. Now we've got one from Ashley. She says, what coping strategies have been the most helpful to you? And what's something you've learned about yourself since being in recovery? Okay, period. I love this. What coping strategies have been the most helpful to you? We'll start with that. So coping strategies that have been the most helpful for me are, I always say this, but refinding the things that you loved to do as a child. So for me, that's going to be art. It's going to be music. I was never an athletic girl. I know I fooled you with this Nike sweater, but my thing's more the arts. I love to draw. I love to paint. I love to make music. And I hadn't done that for so long when I was drinking. And so when I got sober, there's this thing called anhedonia, which basically is like the phenomenon of when you quit a substance and then everything becomes really boring and not at all fun. So for a while I was drawing, I was painting, I was playing music, and it was not fun. But you just kind of have to push through that anhedonia phase, and then those things start to become fun again over time. So that's number one, is going back to the things that I loved as a kid. And then next thing is connection. So having people that you feel comfortable to be 100% honest with is huge. I am a person who struggled mightily with ever sharing in the moment when I was struggling. Like, I could tell you that I was struggling, but I'm over it now, but I could never really tell you that I'm struggling right now actively because I didn't want to be like a burden. But finding people who you feel comfortable to say, hey, I'm actually having a really rough moment right now, can I talk to you, whatever. And also finding other sober people, other fellow addicts and alcoholics, because they just get it. It's way easier to be like, hey, I'm having a really stupid craving right now and I just don't know what to do. It's way easier to explain that to someone than a normie who's like, well, just don't drink, obviously. I'm like, thank you. I never thought about that. Oh my God. Thanks so much for telling me. So connection, going back to the things you love to do as a kid, and radical honesty and radical acceptance is huge. So it's like, it's kind of the serenity prayer of like, what can I control? What can't I control? Can I know the difference? Can I accept what I can't control, basically? And so anytime I get dysregulated, like, I try very hard to be like, what in this do I have control over? Can I do anything about this right now? If I can't, can I radically accept the situation for what it is and not actively like try to change it with every fiber of my being? You know what I mean? Also, go to a meeting. It's just like, even if you're not someone who's going to work an AA program, go to a meeting, because it's just so healing to be in a room full of people who get what you're saying, and to hear stories from other people where you're like, oh, I'm not insane. Like, my life is not like vastly different or worse than anyone else's. Like, a lot of people are feeling the same way that I'm feeling. You know what I mean? So those are my coping strategies, I would say. And what's something you've learned about yourself since being in recovery? This is such a good question. I've learned so much about myself. I think I actually didn't know who I was at all before I got sober, actually, I think is the real thing. Because I was so hyper identified with the fact that I was an anxious person and like a sad person. And like, I was always like, hey, I'm Bridget. I have anxiety and depression. It's so nice to meet you. And everyone's like, oh, we didn't actually ask. And I was like, oh, well, now you know. And now, like, I used to be so negative. And there's been a few people I've met since being sober this time who've said the words to me, you're one of the most positive people I've ever met. And that is actually insane, because for the first 25 years of my life, I think I would have been described as one of the most negative people that anyone's ever met. So learning that I'm not inherently really negative, learning that I'm not as socially awkward as I thought. Granted, I'm like I'm an extroverted introvert. So I love my alone time. I love my home. As you can see, I made this for it. I love being home. I love being cozy. I love the whole gamut. But like, I can also go and be social, and I like being the center of attention at times. And I like making friends, and I like meeting people. And I used to think that I hated that. And I used to think that I needed alcohol to be social. And I learned about myself that I actually do a lot better in social settings now that I'm sober and have a little bit of time under my belt, because I can look people in the eyes and be like, what's going on with you? Instead of always talking about myself. Like, I think when I was drinking, I was always like, do you think like this conversation's going well? Like, what do you feel about me on a scale of 1 to 10? Is it good? Is it bad? Like, I think I was always so hyper fixated on how I was being perceived that I wasn't actually genuinely connecting with people. And it turns out it's a lot easier to connect with people when you're genuinely connecting with people. So I learned that about myself. I learned that I actually love to be a clean person. I love cleaning, and I used to live in absolute squalor. I learned that I actually really like to work out. Couldn't have been me 5 years ago. Absolutely was not moving. Was stationary at any given moment as much as I could be. Absolutely was not about to move. And I genuinely have a zest for life that I never thought that I had. I was like, I don't think I meant to be on this earth. And now I like look at the sunset and look at the trees, and I'm like, how cool is it to just be here at this moment in time, you know? So thank you so much, Ashley, for that question, because I actually love that and I haven't thought about it. Let's see. Sam said, what made you feel ready to get sober in your mid-20s? I knew I had a problem then, but it took me till my mid-30s to truly try to stop again. I think it's so awesome that you did that. First of all, thank you so much for saying that. This is such a good question as well. I did not want to have a problem in my 20s. I'll be so honest. I resisted doing anything about it for a long time because it was like, you can't be an alcoholic and 20 years old. That's just not how that works. So obviously I'm just depressed and I'm drinking to cope with it, and that's what's going on. So great. But then unfortunately turned out alcoholism as a disease is progressive. So damn it. And it just got worse, and it got worse and worse and worse and worse over time. And I started to just really learn by experience. I think COVID was the worst time of my life, but it's one of the biggest blessings that ever happened to me because it expedited my alcoholism so much that it got to a point where I couldn't ignore it anymore. And then, you know, if you listen to my story, you know, that's when I was hospitalized for the first time, and they were like, you have a problem. Even then I was like, no, I don't. And it took me an additional 2 years after that to like really accept that I was an alcoholic. 'Cause it's really hard to be young and it's like you go your whole life and you can drink. I mean, you know, obviously it's whenever you start drinking, you go all that time, like just being like everybody else. I can drink and this is what I do. And then one day you're supposed to just know and accept about yourself that you're an alcoholic and you should abstain from alcohol use for the rest of your life. Like nobody has that. I don't know. I didn't have that experience where it like came to me like a vision where it was like, you cannot drink anymore. Good luck with your sobriety. It was like, is this what this is? Like, it was a lot of self-exploration, a lot of understanding and hearing other people's stories and being like, oh shit, that does sound scarily like my own experience. And, you know, I think I just had to have the universe kind of beat it into my skull a little bit that I needed to get sober or else I was going to die. Like, that's the reality of what my drinking was like, and that's not the case, I think, for everybody in their 20s. But I think a lot of people in their 20s, like, can look at themselves and say, I might have a problem with this, and my life would be drastically improved if I stopped doing this one thing. And I think that's something that maybe I always preach upon because, like, for me, it did get to a point where it was like, this cannot be ignored. I'm actually going to pass away soon if I continue down this road. It's not going to be liver failure. It's going to be some sort of an OD situation, some sort of a take myself out situation. You know, it's like, it's imminent, the danger. But I think it doesn't have to be that. And I think you have the agency as a young person to say, like, I don't know if I'm an alcoholic, but I know that when I drink, I don't like who I am, and I don't like who I become, and I don't like the things that I do, and I would like to see what life is like without that. And I'd like to like radically break free from this societal like norm of getting super drunk in your 20s, like, and decide that I want something different for myself. I think that's like equally as plausible and like a cool thing to do. You know what I mean? So I'm so pro everyone who's young getting sober, because I always feel like I got to live two lives. I got to live my life before, where I got super fucked up all the time and like really did some terrible things and like made some terrible memories, but also made some good ones. Like, if we're being so honest, I had good times too. And now I kind of get this whole new life that I get to experience, where like I really figure out who I am. I really show up for the people that I care about. And like I get to like talk about my experience and like potentially help other people to get there as well. So, you know, that's, what was the question? Oh, about my 20s. Yeah. So I think I stopped viewing it as like, damn it, I thought I was going to be 40 when I had to quit drinking. Now I'm 25 and I'm going to have to quit drinking. And I eventually reframed it to like, I get to live a whole different type of life. And like, I am lucky enough to like, I don't have kids. Like, I get to rewrite my story from here. And I think that's really exciting. And it's not to say that you can't do that if you don't have kids, or I mean, if you do have kids or you're older, like you can always choose to rewrite your story. At any given moment, you can say today's the day where like, I'm not living that way anymore. For me, I love the fact that I got to do that really young, because now I get to, you know, I get to figure out who I am when I'm still in my 20s, barely. We're hanging on by a thread. Just turned 29. Anyways, I love that question. Thank you so much, Sam. Let's see. Do's and don'ts of your early 20s. What do you mean? Oh, who said that? Sorry, I forgot to read it. Belle. Obsessed with that name. Belle, do's and don'ts of your early 20s. Are we talking in terms of alcoholism or life? I'll say both, I guess. Do's and don'ts of your early 20s. Don't drink and drive. Do not give men your fucking time. Like, literally, no. Everybody, you know, I get it. We all want companionship and whatever, but I spent so much of my early 20s, like, genuinely so consumed with, does he like me? Is this relationship going well? Is everything okay? Is he gonna break up with me? Does he care? And try to mold myself into a person that the guy that I liked at the time wanted me to be. And I almost got married that way multiple times with multiple people. I almost literally changed who I was fundamentally for a man, because as an addict, I also used to get addicted to people, and I would really like change everything about me so that they would love me. Turns out, though, the weird part is when you change everything about yourself for someone to love you, they're not actually loving you. They're loving the version of you that you've created that you think that they want, which also, like, it just isn't sustainable and it never works. And most of the time, I'm so sorry, but men in their early 20s don't deserve it. Like, sometimes they do, but they don't know. Like, our frontal lobes develop when we're 25, 26, and then like we all kind of know that men mature a little bit. It's a little bit delayed. And so it's like, that's not to say like don't be good to people and don't be good to your boyfriend or whatever. Like, obviously do that and do what's right by you, but like, do not change yourself, change your behavior. Don't do anything that doesn't sit right with you because you think that's what a man or a significant other of any kind wants. If you're a guy and you're listening, like, do not change yourself for your significant other. Like, what I've learned in my 20s is I'm going to show up as exactly who I am. That's why I created my TikTok. That's why I'm doing this podcast. This is me, literally all of it, 100%. And if you love me, then you are loving exactly who I am. There's no falsity to what I'm bringing to the table, and I hope that you will bring the same level of authenticity to me, and then we can just get right along with it. And that's for friendships, for anything. I think another big part of like my experience in my 20s has been figuring out that like sometimes friends, like I don't think there always has to be these big friend breakups, but I think sometimes people just don't have to be in your life forever, because you just grew in different directions, and those directions aren't paths that can be walked parallel to each other. And that's like okay. And I'm really not subscribing to the whole like cut people off and da 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 da. I think you can care about everyone that you've ever cared about and also not actively have them in your day-to-day life. Like I think there's space for both of those things. To be true, to say like I love you so much, and also we're not going to have the same friendship that we used to have, and that's okay. And I think like going into my 30s, I now have the people in my life that I feel so aligned with, like relationship and friendship wise, and that's like really special. And I think in my early 20s I was like, these things aren't where I want them to be, and I was so panicked about that. And it's like, you have time. You have time to figure it out. And this is like, this decade of your life is the one where you figure out who you are. And then I've heard it said that like, and then in your 30s, you're like really solidly becoming that person. Like the 20s is the discovery, and then the 30s is living life and experiencing life as this person you've discovered you are, with these friends that you've discovered are the ones that you want to take with you as you move on to the next chapter of life. You know what I mean? And I think early 20s, as it pertains to alcoholism, like I don't know, because I did it, well, not wrong, but I did it in a way that was destructive. You know, I had a lot of wreckage that I created in my early 20s because of my drinking, well before I even realized that it was a problem. And I think the Gen Zers now have a real advantage because they're drinking less, which is huge. I think drinking is just like, I'm so pro drinking for people who can do it well. Like, I love that for you, and I wish I was you, but I'm not. And that's the thing, is like, I don't have to make this big agenda against alcohol and like well, I do hate big alcohol for a plethora of reasons, but I'm not ever going to say to people like who don't have a problem with alcohol, like, you shouldn't really be drinking. Like, do you? If you can drink and get up the next day and feel fine, like, live your life. But also, if you can't, there is a life without ever having to have anxiety again. And it is fulfilling. It is fun. For me, it is more fulfilling and more fun than it was when I was drinking. I don't know if that was good advice, but I don't know. Maybe it was. Maybe it wasn't. I hope it was. Let's see. What else do we have here? Oh no. Wait, I lost a lot of it. What time are we at? 23 minutes. All right, well, we'll just go on to our segments because I can't find my other questions. But if you guys like the question thing, then I'll do that moving forward if you want. Build a bridge or get over it. So this is going to be a segment where basically the guest and I will bring up a situation where it's like, do I need to address this situation, or should I just sweep it under the rug and get over it? So let me think of mine for the week. Build a bridge or get over it. Okay, I've got one. I have a friend who, actually, I'm not gonna do this. That's too personal. Build a bridge or get over it. Okay, I've got one. There is a person in my apartment who, like, we have a little courtyard outside of my patio, and they just let their dogs out into the courtyard. Mind you, it's not a dog park. they let their dogs out there unleashed. And my dog is the sweetest boy in America, but on a leash, he gets a little bit like scared and aggressive. And so if an unleashed dog comes up to my dog, he like kind of snaps at them. And then it's like I'm put in this position where I'm holding him on the leash, and then your dog is like up here, like, and now they're like in a fight. And I don't want my dog to get in a fight and get like a bite record or something because your dog was off leash. Like, why can't you just have your dog on a leash? I just don't get it. I actually don't get it, because I do. And like, I think we all should. In a place that's not in a specifically unleashed area, let's have our dogs on leashes. So I'm a people pleaser, unfortunately, and I don't like conflict whatsoever. But there's this person who does that all the time. And it's happened before where there's been like an incident, and luckily like none of the dogs got hurt, but like I was like and I want to say something because I just want to be like, hey, like, and I think I'm going to build a bridge and not get over it. And I think I am going to say something and just be like, hey, love that you want your dog to like play and run around, and like we all do. There is a dog park. My dog is a little bit weird sometimes on a leash, and I take him out here multiple times a day, every day. And sometimes I don't see you and you don't see me, and the dogs just come up to him, and he doesn't really do well with that. And I would actually not like for either of our dogs to be hurt. And so potentially do think that you could have your dog on a leash as well. Oh my God, that's so mean. Sometimes I'm like, why am I giving advice to anyone? I literally can't even fucking say something that's very reasonable to say. But I'm going to do it, and next week I will come back with an update on if I did it or not. So hold me to that, please. Please. Okay. Close My Tab is going to be our finishing segment every episode, and it's going to be things I'm letting go of. This is my big thing this week. Don't analyze your life more than you live it. Things I'm letting go of, ruminating on the future. I have been with this podcast, like, I'm literally working so hard. I know right now I literally have a sheet up, but like I'm working on the studio. I'm working on getting guests arranged. I'm literally like writing plans and scripts and things so that this is just like an actual thing moving forward. And like I'm very much trying not to get concerned with the future. Like in my relationship, I'm always like, well, what if this happens? What if this happens? What if this happens? And like I think that by preparing for every possible worst case scenario, I'm protecting myself in some way, and I'm not. I'm actually just ruining the present moment. And so I'm closing my tab on rumination and worrying about the future, and I'm opening my tab on living in the present moment. And that's the constant battle. But as my therapist says, like, it's okay if we stray from the things that we're trying to let go of, like, and we don't let go of them for a second. We just gotta return home to the idea of like, I'm not gonna ruminate anymore. I'm not going to trip out so much about the future and be so regretful about the past that I cannot live this moment, because my life is happening right now. It's not happening when this podcast takes off. It's not happening when I get married. Like, it's happening right now. I am starting a podcast. How fun is that? Like, 5 years ago, I would have been like, what? That's insane. I'm just doing it. No one told me that I like could. I just did it. Like, I'm just doing it. I'm not married, but I'm in a great relationship in this moment in time. I'm in a great relationship. Why do I have to be worried about the certainty that this podcast or this relationship or this friendship or whatever is going to last forever? Why am I so concerned with forever? It's because I'm an alcoholic, and I was so worried about not drinking forever. But all I have to do is not drink today. All I have to do is enjoy this exact moment in time. That's all I have to do. That's all I have to do. So I'm closing the tab on not present. Not being not present. That is what I meant to say. Is it? Yeah, it is. I think you guys know what I mean. Opening the tab on being present is what I'm doing. Oh shit. Let me dedicate this episode to some folks. Let's see who's got a sober birthday this week. Yeah. I'm also getting one of my friends to make me an intro song. I'm very excited about it. It's gonna be good. I think it's gonna get like a Charlie XCX type vibe to it. Burnt bridge, over the bridge we go. Okay, let's see. This is the week of June 10th. Let's dedicate it to some people. All right, user 3.14159263. Sunday, June 8th was their 90 days. Hell yeah. 90 days, baby. 90-day fiance is what we like to call that. What did I say? The 10th? Who else is... Okay, 31 months. Rob has 31 months. The 17th of June. I don't know if that's this week. That's definitely going to be next week. But congratulations, Rob, on 31 months. Let's see. 1 month on the 12th. Valencia has 1 month in 2 days. Hell yeah. First month is the hardest, baby, and you got through it. 2 months. 5 months, June 13th. 3 days. Hey, it's vegan on TikTok. Is fucking 5 months sober. 5 months is a long fucking time. Period. Let's see who else. I'm just scrolling through these comments, try not to miss anybody. I already did the 17th, so we'll do another one. Holy shit. Rick Shells, 45 years. Oh, sorry, Rick S. That's my bad. He put Rick S. 45 years on June 17th. I'm literally speechless. That's fucking incredible. Holy shit. 2 years on June 7th, baby. Only Frakes on TikTok. Happy 2 years. Let's fucking go. That's not 1 year. It's 2 whole years, baby. That's like, I don't know what 365 times 2 is, but that's what that is. Let me get it down. I'm going to go down to the bottom of the list. Okay, great. That is all for today. And please subscribe. Literally, please actually do that and like comment and like it and stuff because, you know, it would just really help me. And next week we'll be in the studio with a guest. Let me know. I'm trying to come up with things to put in the background. Like I have a shelf and stuff that I want to put stuff on, but I want to know like what would be cool to put back there. So like let me know. And let me know if you have any questions for a future Q&A segment. And I really appreciate you guys listening. It means the world to me. Goodbye.